Hidden deep below Iraq is one of the world's largest remaining onshore oil fields, West Kurna 2. One Russian oil man has dreamt about developing this field for 20 years.
Я впервые побывал в Ираке, это в 1989 году, когда был заместителем министра. Конечно, я никогда не мог забыть тот масштаб запасов нефти, который находился в Ираке, и материалы, по которым были в компании «Лукойл».
Extracting this oil is the greatest challenge ever faced by oilfield workers. They battle extreme weather, searing heat, howling winds, and flash floods. They operate in a region where intimidation, violence, and terrorism are a constant threat. But the greatest challenge of all is time. They have to lay hundreds of kilometers of pipelines, build a processing facility, tank farm and power station, and drill 23 wells, all within a construction window of 14 months.
И это была такая гонка со временем. Это как быстрые шахматы.
September the 1st, 2012, a team of oil field workers traveled to West Kurna 2 in southern Iraq. Under this ground is the world's largest remaining untapped oil field with estimated reserves of 13 billion barrels. They have only 14 months from now to reach first oil. By November the 27th, 2013, 452 days away, they must reach a production target of 120,000 barrels per day. This is a monumental challenge. It will require 11,000 workers and an investment of $4 billion in order to ensure that in just 14 months they can build a central processing facility that will remove impurities from the oil, a gas turbine power plant to provide electricity for the entire project, a 103-kilometer-long export pipeline, a tank farm to hold the oil. Drilling clusters need to be built, 23 oil wells drilled, and infrastructure constructed to pump the oil to the central processing facility. This will be the biggest engineering project on the planet. Any comparable project has taken 44 months to complete. This is the start of a new chapter in the long history of oil production in Iraq.
Deep below the desert sand, nature has created a vast reservoir of the precious oil urgently needed to drive the wheels of the world's industries.
Ever since oil was discovered in Iraq, Western oil companies have dominated production.
After years of exploring and research, the field was discovered by engineers of the Basra Petroleum Company.
This company was majority owned by British and American oil companies.
The oil starts to flow.
The Iraqi government promised the people that they would see the benefit from their oil.
And they will pour wealth into Iraq, which will enable the building of hospitals and schools, and the promotion of social schemes which will help the peoples of the country to a better life.
But the people never got a dollar. In the 1970s, Saddam Hussein nationalized the Iraqi oil industry. He threw out the British and American oil companies.
Oil in Iraq's history has been a source of suffering for the Iraqi people, simply because its revenues has been used by dictators to build their war machinery, to attack the Iraqi people, and attack Iraq's neighbors and leave the country in total ruin.
In 1979, Saddam Hussein became president and invited Soviet oilmen to come to southern Iraq to develop his oil fields. One of these oilmen was Vagit Alekperov, who had risen from an engineer working on drilling sites in Siberia to a minister of oil for the USSR.
Я впервые побывал в Ираке, это в 1989 году, когда был заместителем министра нефтяной промышленности Советского Союза. Я посетил наши объекты в Ираке, потому что я отвечал за добычу нефти. И, конечно, меня поразило вот этот масштаб запасов нефти на территории Республики Ирак.
In 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed. Vagit Alekperov continued his interest in Iraq. One of Saddam's oil fields was of particular interest, the vast West Kurna field situated near Basra. Vagit Alekperov entered into negotiations with Saddam Hussein to develop the field.
То есть Ирак был в непростой ситуации. Очень тяжелые переговоры были. Нам потребовалось 3 года для того, чтобы выйти на подписание контракта.
Lukoil had exclusive rights to develop West Kurna and were to receive a share of its estimated 13 billion barrels of oil. However, sanctions imposed upon Iraq by the United Nations prevented Lukoil from developing the oil field.
Эмбарго, международное эмбарго не дало возможность нам начать реализацию этого проекта. Да, мы просто не начали реализацию проекта.
The Russian oilmen left Iraq. As soon as Saddam Hussein was removed from power, Lukoil returned.
Как только был назначен вице-премьер господин Шахристани, мы сразу, я прилетел в Багдад, встретился, и мы пытались реанимировать старый наш контракт.
I told them at that time, as far as the Iraqi laws were concerned, the company didn't really have any claim against the Ministry of Oil.
Правительство Ирака заняло очень жесткие позицию, что все контракты, подписанные в период Саддама, они не имеют юридическую силу.
In Moscow, Lukoil establishes a special team to ensure they can recover the rights to develop West Kurna 2.
Был назначен конкретный человек, отвечающий за этот проект, господин Кузяев.
Дело в том, что мы, как я уже сказал, создали специальную команду, которая готовилась. Это была команда, которая была изолирована от всех. Она не имела права ни с кем общаться и работала только внутри и напрямую подчинялась высшему руководству Лукойла.
After years of war and dictatorship, only oil revenue could rebuild Iraq's shattered economy. But to get oil flowing quickly requires the expertise and finance of international oil companies. However, Iraqi politicians don't want to lose ownership of their oil. So, to resolve this dilemma, Dr. Shahristani proposes a new form of contract.
We made a number of key decisions. One was that these are going to be developed based on service contracts. The ownership of the Iraqi oil is going to be for the Iraqi people.
For the first time, international oil companies from around the world were invited to bid for these contracts. The response was enthusiastic. Asian, European, American, and Russian oil companies entered the process. Competition was fierce. The winners will be paid a fee for extracting oil, but Iraq will receive 100% of the income from its sale on the world market. Under these conditions, in 2009, the contract was offered for West Kurna 2. The Lukoil team fly into Iraq. They're determined to win the biggest prize of all, West Kurna 2. 12th of December 2009. Representatives of 30 international oil companies gather at Iraq's Ministry of Oil to publicly submit their bids. Whoever offers the lowest fee per barrel to extract the oil will win. One by one, each company representative walks onto the stage and submits their bid.
Стоит стеклянный куб, и ты выходишь на сцену и опускаешь туда конверт, и все видят, что в этом кубе никаких других конвертов нет.
The rival companies have all made their offers. Lukoil waits to the very last moment to submit their bid.
Мы сделали предложение 1.15. Потом все компании, когда опустили заявки, соответственно, министр нефти достает этот конверт, открывает его, прикладывает к компьютеру, и сразу же на экране видно, что написано на заявке. И это сразу же попадает в таблицу, так вскрываются все заявки, и компьютер присуждает, кто занял первое место.
The room falls silent as everyone waits to hear who has won the tender for West Kerner 2.
Lukoil scored the highest score.
У нас было большое желание выиграть тендер. Мы его выиграли.
The contract was awarded on the spot.
Lukoil won the contract for West Kerner 2 by bidding 10 cents per barrel less than Petronas. Lukoil won the rights to develop one of only 10 mega oil fields that exist in the world. This is a field that could eventually produce over 1 million barrels of oil every day. The challenge is monumental. West Kerner 2 is what is known as a greenfield site. First, the engineering needs to be planned and the 4 major contractors appointed. Access to the land needs to be negotiated with local tribespeople. The land needs to be cleared of unexploded bombs. A secure accommodation facility needs to be built to accommodate Lukoil staff. Finally, equipment needs to be sourced and imported into Iraq. The most expensive and complex project is the construction of the $1 billion central processing facility. The CPF is the beating heart of the project. Its scale is enormous. It covers a site of 2.5 square kilometers. That is the size of 350 football pitches. It uses over 600 kilometers of cabling. And it contains 74 massive vessels that remove water, salt, and other impurities from the oil before being sent for further refinement, storage, or export. January 2011, West Kerner 2. Retired 3-star General Vladimir Fedorov is tasked with putting in place a security system to protect Lukoil's workers and assets. The first installation constructed is the ultra-secure pilot camp, the place that will be home to 160 members of Lukoil's team. It has 5 watchtowers, a double fence, state-of-the-art security system, a gym, offices, and a cafeteria. Once security is in place, the priority is to gain access to the land in order to start drilling and construction as quickly as possible. Project management insists on following international standards to ensure that compensation is fair.
Впервые крестьяне получили компенсацию в Ираке за всю историю, получили компенсацию из правительственной казны для потери их сельхозугодий, которые необходимо были перевести в промышленные земли. В период Саддама их просто выселяли, и все. Здесь было сделано все цивилизованно. Люди получили то вознаграждение, на которое они рассчитывали.
Lukoil dispatch a team of people to conduct negotiations with local landowners. This is Adnan Shuba. He's a local Iraqi who works for Lukoil. It's his job to broker the deals for compensation with farmers and tribespeople.
Every color is a different tribe, about 25 tribes in this area. So we have to deal with all these people. All companies have trouble with the tribes. Everyone come said, this is my land. Until now, 600 people receive money, about $100 million.
Every claim needs to be investigated. The landowner is given a GPS device and asked to plot out his land by walking around the perimeter. "30 minutes later, he returns with the boundaries of his land mapped out. Coordinates of his route are uploaded to a computer. According to Adnan's records, some of the land plotted on the GPS is claimed by another farmer. Whether the landowner has walked into his neighbor's land deliberately or by mistake, compensation for this additional land is worth a huge amount of money.
The extra part worth about 20 million dinar. It's a very big number. More than $60,000.
With an average income in Iraq of $5,000 per year, this is a life-changing amount of money. Adnan doesn't confront the landowner now. He knows that if he does, he might be threatened. This has happened repeatedly before.
Killing us, threats by verbal, by phone, by directly threats. But here in this area, everybody have a backup, his tribe. No one can walk in this area without big tribe with him.
It takes a full 2 years to negotiate access to the land. September the 1st, 2012. Oilfield workers arrive at West Kurna 2. They have exactly 452 days to reach first oil. The challenge is made even more difficult because West Kurna 2 stands on land that was a battleground during 3 recent wars. Demining teams have been working for over a year, clearing bombs, shells, and mines. Their task is vital.
To make sure that the people that comes after us, the companies that come after us, that they work in a safe environment.
So far, the ordnance removal team have safely extracted 93 tons of deadly weapons. Every day, Alexander receives instructions from Lukoil on which piece of land should be cleared of ordnance.
Дальше, следующий вопрос. Уст-8.
Да, завтра начнем.
Наши производственники попросили поставить его в приоритет. Вот, и мы просим вас вот, с завтрашнего дня приступить к его размеру. За сколько дней вы планируете ориентировочно сделать это?
Да, наверное, 3 дня, нет больше, чем 3 дня.
Плюс идентификация сигналов.
Да, потом.
Давай исходим из того, что как и контрольную таможенную зону, так и этот объект мы заканчиваем к концу следующей недели.
Хорошо.
Alexander anticipates a busy day for his crew.
We're expecting to find a lot of projectiles, grenades, mortars. So this is what they're looking for today.
To clear the land, the deminers take a battery of demining equipment to search for all types of munitions.
هاي ال F3 عندنا نوعين من عندها. واحدة قرص صغير ذيك الماين اكشن يعني الألغام خاصة.
Every worker wears high-grade body armor and checks his colleague before they head out. In this business, you have to trust your buddies.
شغلتنا ما تتحمل غلطة واحدة.
Every day, Safa and the team put their lives on the line to make the oil field safe. the risks are enormous. On average in Iraq, for every 5,000 mines detected, 1 deminer is killed and 2 are injured.
طبعا جاي يفكر بخطورة كل شديدة ويتعامل ويا الشيء اللي جاي يتعامل وياه هو اختصاصه يعني هذا على الاف 3 هذا الشخص يتعامل ببطء لأن حياته هنا مربوطة بهالمكان هذا.
So far, the safety record has been perfect. No one has died clearing bombs at West Kerner 2. The plans for the engineering and construction of the central processing facility cannot be finalized until the oil underground is tested. The drilling rigs required to carry out these tests were supposed to be here 7 months ago. Now they are finally on site. They need to be assembled as quickly as possible in order to perform these critical tests. These sites are called clusters because multiple wells will be drilled here. The rig will be mounted on rails, allowing it to slide along to start each new well. Directional drilling technology enables the drilling team to navigate underground. This drilling rig is being assembled on site. It's a state-of-the-art rig with a self-raising derrick tower. The rig is being erected by the Chinese subcontractor ZPEC under the supervision of the drilling contractor Baker Hughes. The supervisors check the mast on the ground before it's raised.
What we are looking for is for anything that is loose and that can fall down on someone while the rig is operating.
On a drilling site, the smallest object can be a hazard.
This size nut falling down from the crown will smash somebody on the drill floor. Just imagine you have to explain the family of a guy who got killed on your rig, why and how he got killed, and what you're gonna be saying to his wife and kids.
Every inch of the mast is checked.
But this cut, hook like that, not allowed.
They find too many hazards for it to be raised.
Whatever is not right, whatever is not conforming to the standards, will be replaced before the mast is up.
They leave the roughnecks to secure the mast. There seems to have been a communication problem. The crew immediately set about raising the mast. Lukoil's health and safety manager, Alexander Dysyak, has arrived, and he's not happy that the mast has been raised without following the correct protocol.
The issue is, if something critically were to go wrong, who's responsible? Where does responsibility lay?
They will be responsible in this case because in the morning meeting...
Who manages these people?
Their rig manager and their area manager as well.
Who manages CPAC? Who manages these people?
We.
You do.
He tells them to take the mast down and not to raise it again until the correct procedures are followed.
There's a deviation of process, and we can't allow this to happen.
On a project driven by schedule, this delay is bad news. The problems getting the drilling rigs operational are continuing to prevent the testing of the oil underground. Lukoil's management comes up with a new plan. To get oil samples as quickly as possible, they're going to complete the unfinished wells that were started by Soviet oilmen in the 1980s. At the pilot camp, there are currently 160 workers living here on a permanent basis. Here they eat, relax, and work together. sheltered from the elements. This is vital because of the extreme climatic conditions in Iraq. Raging sandstorms, flash floods, howling desert winds, and temperatures regularly in excess of 50 degrees are a daily reality. The highlight of the day is mealtime. So the people responsible for feeding the workers have a crucial job. Not only must the food be tasty, it needs to be nutritious too.
Temperatures can get up to the late 50s over here, and with that being the case, the amount of fluids and all the byproducts that you as an individual lose, that is why we in general, we try to serve a food product that is high in essential nutrients.
With 160 mouths to feed, there needs to be a constant supply of fresh food. But getting supplies to the kitchen is not always easy.
Considering that we're in the middle of the desert, first and foremost, it takes a lot to bring the food in our daily usage over here. We'll use anything from 40 to 60 kilos of meat products, up to 30, 40 kilos of rice a day. That's all dependent on how our day has been set out for us.
The workers' living space is secure, but the task of making their work site safe is ongoing. On the oil field, the explosive removal team are using specially trained German shepherds to sniff out explosives. Almost immediately, the dog marks the spot where there is buried ordnance. They clear the area. Fardak Ali, a specialist deminer, comes in to investigate. He confirms the precise location of the explosive with a narrow beam metal detector. He digs a pit next to the metal object to approach it from the side. And then carefully uses a brush to get a closer look. The slightest false move and the bomb could explode. Fardak reveals a cluster bomb and signals for the area to be cordoned off. This bomb will need to be specially removed and detonated by the Iraqi army. This kind of work is extremely dangerous and puts a lot of lives at risk. Progress is slow, but Lukoil are in a hurry and they might have found a solution. They're road testing this latest in demining safety tech. The Freeland 3000. This $750,000 monster truck can clear over 1,000 square meters in an hour. It uses metal chains to detonate all bombs in its path. The driver is protected by 3-inch thick armor plating. Progress is fast and furious.
We are the only company, we have this machine all around the world. And this has reduced the risk for the people who's working in this action.
If it can survive the minefields of Iraq, the Freeland 3000 could revolutionize demining by saving lives, cutting costs, and clearing land much faster than any of the old methods. November 4th, 2012. The extreme delay in getting the drilling rigs into Iraq has been compounded by further delays in getting them assembled at the clusters. Alexander Dizyak decides to take action. He has a long list of issues to resolve with the drilling managers. And he's determined to get some results.
My objective right now is to make sure that we can have a successful long-term project by holding these people accountable to what their contractual obligations will be.
Alexander marches into the manager's office and gets straight to the point.
A large part of the inconsistencies that are adding up to near misses, issues on the rig, are the fact that you've got guys that are working out there 3 months on straight with 1 month holiday.
We are aware about that.
Alexander believes that in the rush to construct the new rigs, the crews are making mistakes.
My expectation would be that if that's an issue, then you need to fix that. And I understand it takes time, but however, you know, time is moving forward, and we have certain production schedules that we have to meet. How serious are you going to take this? Because I've explained to you what the problem is with the process of non-communication previously, because this is what's adding up to a lot of issues with us.
There is no excuse. We don't accept any excuse.
Okay.
It's been a tough meeting. They need to get their act together quickly. The crew reopening the historical well are using a small rig to complete the drilling. The problem is, these old wells haven't been touched for 30 years. In that time, dangerous levels of gas might have built up in the well itself.
Here, and this one as well. See, it's corroded. And the tubing body, as you can see, is also corroded, which is not common for a normal well. This is the effect of H2S.
H2S is hydrogen sulfide gas. It's colorless, flammable, and extremely poisonous.
H2S is known as one of the most dangerous gases that you can see in the oil field. At certain concentrations, you cannot even feel the gas itself. That you cannot feel how it kills you, you know?
The crew evacuate the rig before the invisible killer gas escapes. All work comes to an immediate halt. Ten days later, the crew are given the all clear to return to their rig. The deadly gas has cleared. Ernest Syapov can now finally assess the quality of the oil.
Each of these wells is worth 40 Siberian wells.
Now they know the exact composition of the oil, they can complete the engineering designs.
Right now, I'd say that we have some good future here in the field. Lukoil is going to have a very good future here.
This is the first good news for a while. However, there's still much to do.
Я был уверен, что мы с этой задачей справимся. Как в Ираке говорят, иншаллах.
In the next episode, the race is on to get back on schedule.
You put your attention on this area. Yes. Okay, that's good. But you forgot about others.
Management are challenged by inexperienced crews.
Bring it back! The crane come up! You're crazy!
And delays mount when equipment gets stuck in the port.
Your inspector is sitting here without any welding tools.
On top of that, they need to keep their contractors on track.
Talk it through, find out what the answer is, and make it happen.